a celebration with a classic instrument. I'm Lisa Oligus, and you're watching Newsmakers. In this edition, we learn about the 5th Annual Hymn Festival, Songs of Faith. It is an event coordinated by the Joplin Area Organist Association. Now, the origins of the pipe organ can be traced back to the hydraulis in ancient Greece in 3rd century BC. It began making its way into churches, and by the 1400s was well established there, and it's still used in many churches today. Those who play them are behind the event coming up on June 29th. Joining us to talk about that are festival coordinators Gary Jordan and Martin Williams. Gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
So let's talk about, this is an annual event. What will make the 5th Annual Hymn Festival unique? And tell me about the event you have planned.
Well, this year we're moving it to Webb City, to the largest pipe organ in Webb City at the First Presbyterian Church, which is at the corner of Broadway and Ball. They don't even know the address of the building. It's just forever been the corner of Broadway and Ball. And it's the oldest church in Webb City, the first church ever established in Webb City,
Wow.
but they also have the only pipe organ in town. And we're moving there this year just to feature them and their organ, because it is a significant instrument. And we have and this year we chose not to have a specific theme to the festival. Instead, we decided to kind of just meld all the ideas we've done in the past into a smaller venue.
Yeah.
We've always been in bigger venues. This one's smaller, so rather than make it thematic, we decided to make it just a little bit, just everything a little bit better.
So it does say Songs of Faith. How do you choose the songs that you intend to have performed there? Do you let the organist say, this is my favorite, I want to do this one? Or do you kind of say, hey, these are songs we'd like to have played?
Both. We have some people that have contacted me over the years and said, I hope next year we get to sing this song, or something, and I'll make mental notes of that. But we do both hymn singing, where we put together medleys of similar types of hymns, and those of the congregation sing, and we have a song leader, Patrick Boyer, who's one of the members of the Missourians Quartet.
Wow.
And he works as our song leader every year. And so we have some sing-along time, and I pick those out and make the medleys. Basically, I just sit down with a hymnal and start flipping through and go, oh, and making notes of it, dozens of hymns that, oh, we haven't done that one, that's a good one. And then put together medleys that work complementing with key changes and things like that. But then the other parts of the program are piano and organ, organ presentation, solos. And we leave that up to the organists or the pianists, what they would like to play. And because I figured we'll get their best performances if they can play the selections they like.
You bet. Well, you both played the organ. So tell me, what do you like about playing the organ? What is it like to play the organ? Let's start with Martin. Give him a chance to speak.
Let me interject here. Gary played this organ there at the church in Webb City for 10 years. He's now a member of Park Plaza Christian Church, where I play the organ. And the unique thing about our church at the moment is that we have 3 or 4 organists, which then we take turns during the month playing the organ for church. I played there for 18 years, morning and evening, and then all of a sudden, gosh, we had a Mecca organist come into our church. So,
which it seems surprising because it doesn't, I mean, it's an old instrument. So is it hard to learn? Did you learn as a child? You said you've played for 18 years. How do you pick up the organ? It's not
well, in my family, we were a musical family, and there's 4 of us in our family. We all played the piano, we all played the organ, we all played another instrument. And so I'm being the youngest, it was just natural for me to follow the rest of the crowd. My dad was a tenor soloist, and so we all 4 played and accompanied him along the way. But in our church where I was growing up in Ottawa, Kansas, the organist took the summer off. And so that gave us young people a chance to play the organ during the summer while she was taking the summer off. And then she'd come back in September and play through the school year and then take the summer off. So,
and if you hit a sour note, folks were forgiving because they knew it was summer. So, but how, I mean, you play piano, so that sounds like it's a precursor.
Yes.
But there are different things to know about an organ. What are the many facets of an organ? And I know you guys are talking about having a Wicks pipe organ. What makes a Wicks pipe organ? What
Okay.
makes it different and unique?
Well, an organ is very different from a piano. The only similarity is the way you read music off the page and the shape of the notes. On a piano, you hit the note and a hammer hits a string in a sustained tone. On an organ, you hit the note and air rushes through a pipe, and as long as you hold that note, it speaks consistently. So it can sound as long as you want it to. So connecting all the notes together is different for an organ than on a piano. Plus, because different pipes and we've got a
So
few here.
pick one up.
Yeah.
Show us one.
Like this is a standard pipe. This is what's
Wow.
called a diapason, and this is the basic sound of an organ. And so every organ has a diapason sound. It may not have all the other sounds available, but it all has.
Yeah.
This is the basic sound of an organ. But then, if you've got some wooden pipes, they're usually this more flute sounding,
Okay.
and so it's a much rounder tone than the diapason.
And would it be higher pitched?
No, it could be the same pitches.
It could be the same pitch.
But the organ is able to play at standard pitch, an octave lower, an octave higher, 2 octaves higher, 2 1/3 octaves higher, or all these different mutations. And so you have a whole lot more variety of tone and colors to play with, and a lot more power available for overwhelming a crowd or
Right.
inspiring a crowd,
Oh,
depending on how you play it.
They do make a big sound.
Yes.
So how do you prepare for this festival? Do you practice together? Or do you have a kind of dress rehearsals?
We don't have a dress rehearsal. We arrange practice times so that people can come in and get used to the organ we're playing on.
Right.
The Wicks organ we're playing on right now was built by the Wicks Organ Company in Highland, Illinois, which is just up the highway as you're going to I-70 through Illinois. It's just east of St. Louis. And they've been around since 1906.
Wow.
And this organ that we're playing on was built in 1950, it was dedicated in 1957. It was built in 1956.
Wow.
And has been serving the church very well
You bet.
now for 70 years.
Yes.
And it's not a huge organ. It's only 10 sets of pipes, 10 ranks of pipes, so a little over 700 pipes in the organ, but a lot of variety of tonality and color. And it fills the room very well.
Excellent.
And really can get give you goosebumps if
Yeah.
you want it.
So Martin, tell us about the event. It's June 29th.
Well,
right?
I was going to say one thing about that's different of the organ is you got the full
You play with
feet
your feet.
pedals. You've got multiple consoles to play, at least 2. Well, some organs had 1, but you have multiple things. And I had an organ instructor said, yeah, you need to get both feet going, get both of your hands going, get your eyes going on the music, and then sing along with it. And
You feel like you're a one-man band.
yeah, just
It's a power trip.
so anyway.
So tell us the date of the event, and because we're going to be talking with others in a moment about playing organ, but tell us about the event itself. It's going to be at the Webb City Church, right?
Yes, and like I said, Gary and I help plan the whole thing each year, and as Gary indicated, we decided that this church would be a good one to have this year because of the pipe organ and the Wicks and the history of it. And so we were able to secure the date. We always try to have the Hymn Fest the last Saturday or the Saturday in front of July 4th.
Okay.
So it's generally the last Saturday
So
in
this year,
June.
that's June 29th.
29th.
Or
And
it could
it's-
be the first Saturday in July.
It starts at 3 p.m., but there's a prelude. Tell us about the prelude.
Well, we just like to have some music going as people are coming in. This year it's going to be Martin at the piano.
Okay.
He'll play the organ later in the program, but for the prelude, he'll be playing a medley of songs of faith on the piano.
Yeah.
This church has 2 pianos at the chancel,
Wow.
and so we're going to try to utilize that to have a trio of piano, and organ.
That'll be fun.
I hope it's going to be fun. We haven't actually started practicing yet.
Okay,
but-
we're going to take a little break. Thanks for sharing all that. And a little later, we're going to talk to a veteran helping with a special patriotic performance at the event. When we come back, we'll visit with other organists and learn the history of the group itself as we go to break the details of the 5th Annual Hymn Festival and more music from Gary. Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we are talking about the 5th annual hymn festival, Songs of Faith. Joining our conversation now are Joplin Area Organist Association historian Scott Stone, the organist Carolyn Clark, whose church will celebrate this year's 100th anniversary of its organ. Thank you both for being here.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
So, organs have a booming sound. Scott, tell us, this organization was formed to unite the players of the organ. What inspired founder Gloria Sanborn to get you guys all together?
I guess it was just the fact that they would all got together one day and said, we need to have a group or something where we can just do things with, and that's where it kind of began, and it just kind of rolled from there. A few years later.
How long has the association been together?
I think since about 2012 or 13, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And what started the Hymn Fest?
The Hymn Fest was probably the thing about it was that we had other churches that we had these pipe organs in, and we decided, we need to do some kind of event to kind of showcase these places. And so that is where we began these Hymn Fest. We decided we'll do it in the summer when it's time for the patriotic stuff, and we just go from place to place to showcase and perform the hymns and have a celebration.
Yeah. Well, speaking of organs that can be showcased, Carolyn, you have one at your church. So tell us, what's your take on how hard it is to play the organ? We were talking about the last segment.
Okay.
It takes many hands sometimes, doesn't it?
Yes, hands and feet, both. Yes, it's difficult in the fact that organs usually have 2 to 3 manuals, keyboard manuals, and then they will have usually a 2-octave pedal board, which you have to learn the pedal notes with your feet, and then you have all of the tabs and stops on the organ that you have to learn to play. For each piece that you play, you have to learn how to combine them and balance them out.
So for those who don't know, when you say stop, I mean there's like little buttons that
Little
push and pull.
buttons and
So
tabs maybe.
What does that do to the sound when you're pushing a stop?
Well, it'll make a unique sound. Some of it will be solo sounds, like maybe an oboe or a cello, or they can be combinations. They can be string combinations. They can make some string sounds, and they can be. We have a chime. We also have some chimes on the organ to make the chime sound, and we don't have a trumpet, which some organs do.
Wow.
A lot of organs have the trumpet sound. And we have the general organ sound, like the diapason general organ sounds too, that you can make.
So the organ at your church is like about almost 100 years old, is that correct?
It will be 100 years old July the 7th.
That's amazing. So what is it like to play something that's practically an antique? I mean, is there a finesse to an older organ? Do they have a different sound?
Oh, it has a great sound. I was surprised when I first, I've been there 13 years, and when I first started to play it, I was amazed the sound that it produced.
Does it take a lot to maintain an organ of that kind?
Just a tuning, you must tune it about twice a year. The pipes need to be tuned. And then I think the last major maintenance on it was in the 1980s. They had the leathers replaced. But other than that, it's, just, and maintaining a good temperature, in the sanctuary.
Right.
And
why do you think
keep it
this
up.
unique instrument has survived so many centuries as a source of music, in particular hymns as well?
Well, it began because, you had Bach and those guys back in the 16th century playing organs that were pumped by air, somebody doing this and the other guy playing it. And so the hymns were basically written for the organ at that particular time. So all the older stuff is basically, that's where it began and that's where it sounds the best, is on the organ. I can't describe how majestic it sounds whenever you sit down and you start playing some of those older hymns with the organ at full force, and you just fill the room with the sound.
Do you think that also helps inspire folks? I mean, is there something, it is obviously you're doing Songs of Faith. So tell us about some of those songs that will be performed and why that space in the church and why an organ is the best place for that. I mean, are they fuller?
Not really. It's to me, whenever you're playing something like "O Come All Ye Faithful" at Christmas, you get that sound in there, and it just brings together the people and the whole service to singing. It just fills the cathedral. I like playing the one at Faith Lutheran in Carthage because it's one of the biggest, to me, the biggest pipe organ in the area. And I played for Easter. And some of the oldest hymns, like the Wesley hymns of faith, like Christ the Lord is risen today, and crown him with many crowns. And you pull that thing and you can just bring in, and you could just feel the power of it coming out of it. And then you hear behind you the congregation singing, and it just brings the whole service together.
Is there a difference for you as organist when you're playing with singers than maybe solo? Do you think is there a difference?
There's some difference. I think I like to sit back and just play solo sometimes. Just because I could show off. And then, but when you have the choir and you have the congregation singing, you kind of have to kind of tone it down a little bit. But yeah, there's a difference between the two. Yeah, I like it to hear them singing.
So what will you be playing, Carolyn, at the festival?
What piece? I plan to play a hymn arrangement of the "O for 1,000 Tongues." Is what I plan to play.
And so what is it like for you to be performing? I mean, church every Sunday is one thing, but is
Yes.
it different when there are people here to come as far as it being a concert? Does it
Yes,
change
it's a
the
little
dynamic?
different. Yes, when you play for church, sometimes people are still talking when you're playing the prelude, you know, and it's sometimes a little more of a background music. But when you're in a concert, everyone is listening, and then I usually try to choose something a little more challenging to play too, and it takes a lot of practice to do that.
Do you ever is it physically tiring to play the organ? I mean, since you're moving the feet, the hands, or does it take a lot of brain power to coordinate, focus on all four parts going at the same time?
Sometimes it's brain power, sometimes it's physical, but most of the time it's just an adrenaline rush. I just like to sit down and just, to me it's entertaining, it's fun.
Even for yourself, yeah. Well, so remind folks of the date and time of the concert, the festival.
It is Saturday, the 29th of June at 3 p.m. at the First Presbyterian Church in Webb City, Missouri.
All right, well, we're going to take a break. Thank you both for being here. And when we come back, we'll talk with veteran Diane Herman about her presentation at the Hymn Festival Songs of Faith event. As we go to break, a little global history of the organ making its way to America. Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we're talking about the 5th annual Hymn Festival, Songs of Faith. This year it includes a patriotic presentation. Gary Jordan is back with us, and joining the conversation is Diane Herman, who will be part of a patriotic presentation. Diane, thank you for being here.
I appreciate that.
So Diane, tell us about your special presentation. How have you joined the Hymn Festival this year?
Well, I was invited by Gary to participate in it because I'm a veteran. I served in the Army during the Vietnam era, and he asked if I would do a patriotic presentation, and I was more than happy to do that.
So what will you be doing? It's a reading, right?
It's a audio, it's reading of famous quotes, some patriotic readings.
Wisdom of the ages.
Wisdom of the ages from founding fathers and people throughout the generations.
So will this have music accompanying it, or? Okay.
Yep, we'll have it's probably going to be me playing quietly on the organ in the background while she presents this, something like "This Land Is Your Land" or something. I'm not exactly sure what the selection is going to be yet.
And so then will there be other patriotic songs in the event itself?
Yes, the president of our organization, Ray Willard, will be presenting a piece. It's got a big Latin name, but it simply translated means "Beautiful America."
Okay.
And it's I think of what used to be called a tone poem kind of a thing that includes the thematic things from the tune America.
Okay. So does the organ have a history of being used in patriotic music? I mean, we know it's been in churches, but is patriotic music have a history with the organ as well?
A little bit. Most of the time you think of the marching band or the concert band when it comes to patriotic things, and that's a very military appropriate thing.
So, yeah.
But the pipe organ is about the closest thing you can find to a marching band as far as the amount of dynamics and the tonal colors that you can get out of an organ can complement a concert band. And so it's kind of the first cousin in patriotic music.
Diane, do you have an affinity for organ music?
Well, I've been associated with the organ group. I attended one of their concerts a couple of years ago, and I find it fascinating. We were talking about playing the organ, and we see it on different shows in different music eras and different music genres, and I watch it in amazement because I cannot fathom how they can work their hands and their feet simultaneously. So I'm really impressed by what they do.
Well, I asked about the sustainability of the organ with the other folks, and there was a period in the 1960s and 70s where the organ kind of had a popular vibe. As an organist, was that good news to you? Did you like that it was part of popular music, or are you a purist?
It was fun. I'm not a purist.
Okay.
It was fun. I love it when the sound of an organ shows up in any style of music. It's always fun. It's a season to taste kind of thing.
Right.
A little bit can go a long way sometimes.
And what a lot of people think of in that kind of popular music, it would be what looks like a piano and is called an organ. There's a little bit different when you jump from that organ to a church organ with pipe organ and all the multiple facets.
Right. Yeah. And it's a special, a very niche market of people who know how to play the big church organs. Or the big theater organs like they used 100 years ago for silent movie accompaniment and things like that, which those type of organs are great for popular tunes,
right?
Not so much for church music. And so the organ can be so specialized. What was common in the 50s, 60s, and 70s in recorded music was the Hammond organ.
Okay. Because
it was much smaller and able to move very easily. We measure pipe organs in tonnage. It's there. You don't move them that becomes part of the building.
Right.
With pipe organs, and so that's why you have to find a good location to have a hymn festival, because you're going to the organ. It's hard to bring the organ to the festival.
So there are also you talked about pipe organs and pump organs. Tell us a little bit about the difference between them, and then the one you'll be using is a pipe organ, correct?
We have both.
We have both.
This church has both a 1956-57 Wicks pipe organ, but there's also an 1890s Story and Camp pump organ in the church auditorium.
Wow.
I've not been able to find out from anyone exactly where the organ came from. It's not the organ the church used to use a long time ago. Someone in the church donated it. But we're going to feature that with James Lee, one of our members, is going to play an antique hymn that would have been written about the time that organ was in use.
That's amazing.
To demonstrate the sound of that type of an instrument, which is a very different sound than the pipe organ. But
so there's a lot of history wrapped into this one festival.
oh yeah, because we want to celebrate hymns because hymns are full of profound thought, and the ones that survive also tend to have very good music that lends well. We want to celebrate that. We want to celebrate the idea that we have a whole character or a whole chapter of music that celebrates God and Jesus Christ and the faith that is a part of that. But we also get to celebrate the piano and the organ and the musicians that
And this
utilize
music
them.
doesn't seem to be one congregation specific.
Oh,
These
no.
songs really do transcend many faiths.
Yes, and we try to arrange the music so that it appeals to whatever denomination or non-denomination or whatever you would belong to. That's why we move the festival around to different churches, is to celebrate what's in their church building,
Yeah.
that instrument with the music from all around.
And Scott was just telling me that there are at least up to 60 organs in this area.
Oh, yeah.
Which is amazing.
Uh-huh.
That you guys get to try them all out.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so the festival's June 29th, and the time it's starting again?
Well, the prelude begins at 2:45. The program officially starts at 3, and we'll be done before 4:30.
So come out and enjoy the music.
Yes, please.
All right, thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
Well, we hope you have a great turnout there, and that wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Thanks to all of our guests for sharing all about the 5th Annual Hymn Festival from the Joplin Area Organist Association, and thank you for watching.